Hey, peace, world. What's good, boxing fans? Thanks for pressing play on another Bite Down Boxing video. I'm the host of the Bite Down Boxing podcast, as well as the editor-in-chief over at BiteDownBoxing.com. I go by Wood. I was trying to do this video like 2.5 hours ago and met this nice older sister. Her daughter is here. I'm still at the Ohio State Medical Center dealing with something with my wife, but ran into this lady whose 27-year-old daughter is here with a very bad type of cancer with some experimental trial that they're going in, and how could I tell the lady beat it or leave me alone? So 2.5 hours later, I'm getting to my Deontay Wilder situation. Just saw a piece out there earlier with saw a piece out there earlier where some numbers came out on the CBS. Some people walking all around. It's like 3 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. But anyway, it's a hospital. But just Wilder's appearance at the Final Four. In the intermission period, I think they called it. They actually had a term for it. I think it was the bridge, the Final Four bridge. But it was after the Texas Tech and Michigan State game before the who was that? Auburn and memory bad, man. Auburn and Virginia, who went on to win it all. But 13.77 million people caught that. And I saw some of the criticism out there of people found something negative to, a negative way to critique Deontay Wilder being on there. I saw some people who were the kind of non-boxing fans, and their opinion was that, and I think Lou DiBella even came out at one of them, because it was some Twitter account talking about the world of sports, and they were upset and had to voice their displeasure in the fact that CBS couldn't go and get some basketball people, some basketball personality, or a coach or a player or something, former player, and spend that time talking about more basketball. That's kind of funny when a critic feels so empowered to tell a network how they should divvy up their time and how they shouldn't use their various platforms to advertise or promote future events and future telecasts and whatnot. I should sit here and do things the way that you would like them to be done, because you have such an extensive past in TV, and sports programming. So sometimes you just gotta listen, man, when people it's social media, man. People can go out here and rant on anything. But again, that put Deontay Wilder, the WBC heavyweight champion, undefeated champion. What's that? 40 wins, 39 knockouts, and one pause. Please don't attack a brother. One draw, a controversial draw at that. But all in all, man, I thought the champion, I thought Deontay did a great job in introducing himself. I don't think Greg Gumbel, I believe, was sitting at the table with him that they had set up. I don't think that Greg Gumbel did a great job of really steering the conversation over to the fight. I would have thought that it was in the article on Boxing Scene. Stephen Espinosa was credited, the vice president of, I think it's events and sports programming over at Showtime. He was credited for facilitating Deontay to get that moment, and it just seemed like they would have done a little bit more digging into the fight and speaking on that. But I thought Wilder took advantage of it in ingratiating himself with viewers, because I think there's that saying out there that nobody cares what your title is until they know that you care. And I think with Deontay speaking so naturally on the Auburn situation with the kids, going as far as they did under Coach Bruce Pearl, and them getting jobbed on that no call that should have sent them to the championship game, but with it being a no call on that the double dribble, it actually allowed Virginia to go down and win the game. To get into the sequence that led to the guard Kyle Guy shooting the 3 free throws and winning the game. But Deontay's commentary on that, and speaking very quickly on the fact that he's from Tuscaloosa, where the Crimson Tide are, and him being a Crimson Tide fan, and he's spoken to the Crimson Tide football team, and has a relationship with Nick Saban. I just thought that was where he excelled and really was able to, like I said, just win some new fans and just show, I'm here enjoying myself and I'm a fan just like you are. I just happen to be the WBC heavyweight champion and I have this big event coming up. But, I thought he was able to share the situation with, the rivalry in Alabama between Auburn and Alabama. And then he even switched over briefly and said we. He said we took that. We got he said something that associated himself a little bit more closely with Auburn, maybe just for this event. So I thought that was pretty dope. And I thought that's where, like I said, anybody, when you're trying to sell something or you're selling yourself, trying to get somebody on your, persuade them to support you, you got to make those connections. So I thought he did very well in that segment of the sit down. And I also thought, as bad as as heated as the exchange got, and as unprofessional, even relatively speaking for professional boxing, the threats and the nature of the exchange at the press conference, I believe that was at Barclays Center with Brian Custer, and I'm gonna punch you in your brain and all of that type of stuff, way over the top. I thought it was also skill maybe, or just common sense or whatever. But I thought, the way that Wilder addressed the fight, and Dominic Breazeale, and the way that he spoke about his opponent, in a classier way, I thought that showed some good judgment and some good handling of that environment and connecting with that audience. So, I tip my cap to Wilder in that sense. It's funny because, I don't know how they counted this as a show. The men's Final Four something bridge is what it was called in that BoxingScene.com article. But if I might have been getting a beer or something, or maybe I was caught up in the game. But I don't believe they did any. Maybe it was a bullet point when they put the graphics up that they said during the intermission that we'll have a champion, the heavyweight champion. We'll have a moment with him. I don't know if they did that or not. But it's just interesting that you could take a program that's really not like a formal program. It's just this little. I thought it was a segment, but who knows? The ratings came in as this being an official telecast. So I don't know if that was 15 minutes or 17 minutes or whatever it was in its runtime, but it was actually the second most watched primetime telecast for April 1st through April 7th. The number one was the Texas Tech game the Final Four matchup with Michigan State. So again, Showtime, CBS, the parent company of Showtime and Boxing Scene, they're going through different lengths, or to reiterate or to define, Wilder's popularity. We obviously know what that's building towards, or hope what it's intended to do. By the way, shout out to Second and None Promotions. Keep an eye out for some updates on their upcoming event, May 18th, I believe, up in Dearborn, Michigan outside of Detroit. Their next event that'll be headlined by Ernesto Garza III. I believe James Gordon Smith is also fighting on there. That's May 18th. Actually, that's a tough night because that's the night when Wilder and incidentally, that's when Wilder and Dominic Breazeale go at it. So, with me living in Dayton, Ohio, I might have to tell second to none that I got a bigger fish to fry that particular night. We'll see. I do have anyway. But they're putting together this. They're making this argument and putting together, various metrics or measurables to show how popular Deontay Wilder is. That's relative to the unified champion Anthony Joshua, and I've seen Stephen Espinosa interacting with folks on on Twitter, reiterating the ESPN World Fame 100 and whatnot. My barometer, my measuring stick, is going to be. You still couldn't get and I know a lot of people in my office watch that game, but I couldn't find two to five of them who in passing, or at the Keurig machine or in the break room, I haven't been asked who was that guy. Almost nobody really cares. So and with the program such as that, was that a moment where people went in and fixed the plate? That's just one of those moments. And I don't want to disparage, this 13.77 million, but it's kind of hard to really quantify what people were doing during that 15-minute segment when this quote unquote telecast was airing. But again, it's numbers, and we know numbers never lie. But somebody over there. So anyway, that's kind of what it is, man. I just wanted to get on here. I think the people that didn't like and don't care for Deontay, it didn't do anything. It didn't move the needle. Some people wanted to criticize him for his language, or his grammar, his speaking ability. I think if you are in this country, you have to give some credence to the fact that he's a Southerner. He's a deep Southerner coming out of Tuscaloosa, and it doesn't necessarily I don't want to get into the man's intelligence and so on and so forth, but people speak differently in different regions of the country. So like I said, I thought all in all, I thought it was a good moment for him. I don't know if it really moves the needle for me in terms of my excitement for May 18th. I'm tuning in anyway, but I can't knock him for taking advantage of that moment. So I think that was one thing. Although Spence and Garcia, it was well after the football season, so they didn't really have much. A week or two before that pay-per-view event, they didn't have an opportunity to sit those guys down anywhere, in a similar environment. And I think, but the pay-per-view came in at what, 350,000 or whatever it was, which exceeded Pacquiao and Broner, as well as Wilder and Fury. But I just thought that was one thing that kind of caught that pay-per-view off guard, was them not really having anywhere to cross-promote that, once it got into very close to fight week. So again, like I said, I just wanted to weigh in on that, man. Like I said, I'm stuck at this hospital. It's almost like my sleeping pattern is jacked up like I'm in Vegas, because I'm just walking around at 2:30 in the morning because I don't have anywhere to sleep. But just wanted to get my thoughts out there. I'm out.